Okay, hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Roy. I'm here with Mr. Roy Kearse, the Vice President for Recovery Services of Daytop. Sorry, Samaritan Daytop. And, as a person in recovery yourself, and as if you climbed up to the hierarchy of our agency, I was wondering if you had a message of motivation to our brothers and sisters who are struggling with their recovery, if you will. And so I was wondering if you could, enlighten us with some of your experiences, and I'll ask you some questions.
I'd be more than happy to participate in that. As you know, I'm a person in long-term recovery. I've been in recovery for 36 years now, and recovery has truly transformed my life. And I'd be happy to participate and offer a message of hope and support to the brothers and sisters out there struggling with recovery. It's been my pleasure.
Okay, great, Roy. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I was wondering, just to start, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of your story.
Well, as I said, I've been in recovery now for over 36 years. I started out in my early life and became addicted to drugs at the age of 13 years old. Spent many years chasing drugs. My primary drug of choice was heroin. I did some cocaine along the way, and I was somewhat of a garbage head out there. And whatever I could do to, relieve myself from the pangs of addiction, I used whatever drug was available to me. I've been incarcerated 13 times. I've been in detox units probably 8 or 9 times. And I finally found some support for my addiction at the end of 1979 and beginning of 1980. I went into treatment.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that personal story. I'm sure in your experiences and in mine, I know that everyone has some kind of a turning point, that one day that the light bulb just went off. And what was your turning point?
That's very interesting. I had 2 significant turning points in my life. One when I was out there, and one while I was in treatment. When I was out, the turning point in my life that caused me to go into treatment was one day during my run, I found myself, I woke up at the bottom of a sort of a stairwell. And when I woke up at the bottom of the stairwell, I had been on a run for a while, shooting dope, drinking, just doing the pills and everything. And I woke up that morning, and what woke me up was a stream of urine was coming over my head.
Wow.
And I looked up and I saw a stream of urine, and I was afraid to move because I thought the guy would pee on me if I had moved suddenly. And the guy didn't see me because I was at the bottom of the stairwell. And when I looked up and saw that stream of urine going over my head, I said to myself, Roy, you've truly hit your bottom. It can't get any worse than this. And it was shortly after that, I still went through a few things, but it was shortly after that I went into treatment. The second huge turning point in my life was after I had been in treatment. In those days, long-term treatment, it wasn't unusual. A person would stay in a program like Samaritan or Daytop for maybe 2 years. It was a process of complete rehabilitation. And I had been in the program about 18 months, and I was walking down the street to the store with the program director, and I unwrapped a piece of candy and I threw the paper on the floor, and the program director stopped in his tracks. He turned around and looked at me and he said, I thought you were going to make it, but I see that you're not. Mm-hmm. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, the fact that you could, after all this time in treatment, throw a piece of candy wrap on the ground suggests that you haven't learned the real value of treatment, which is to develop a social consciousness. It's not just about physically detoxing from the drug, but it's about being conscious of the impact that you have on society, on fellow people. Somebody has to pick up that piece of paper from the ground that you drew in there. So you're creating problems for the entire society, your community. And I learned a big lesson about social consciousness that day, that if I was going to sustain my recovery, I had to worry more than just about myself, that it had to be worrying about my community, my family, the people who my addiction was impacting.
Wow. And all that from a piece of paper.
All that from a piece of paper.
Amazing. You know, Roy, in working with our residents, I kind of noticed that part of the struggle that they have is to be able to make a commitment to their recovery. You know, although they've been mandated and into treatment or parent dated, but still some of our brothers and sisters are finding it difficult to make that commitment. Can you explain about why is that commitment necessary?
Often in the life of an addict, there's no direction. And when you make a commitment leads to purpose. Purpose leads to fulfillment, right? And the addict needs to have purpose and fulfillment in their life, you know. They need to know that there's something in it. When you're actively addicted and you're chasing the street, there's a logical conclusion to all your effort. You're going to get high, you're going to become intoxicated, and that's the goal. So in recovery, people have to learn, well, what am I committing myself to that is going to bring me purpose and fulfillment? And we have to begin to teach people that there's purpose and fulfillment, you know, in recovery, and that there's more to it than just not using drugs. That there's a whole life out there for you, that to be discovered, to be enjoyed. When I first got out of treatment, I used to walk around a lot, and people would approach me and say, do you want to get high? And I say, no, I can't. I can't because I just got out of the program. I can't because I'm on parole. I can't because I'm on probation. A lot of people will choose to do that. Then one day, I said to myself, wait a minute, I could get high if I wanted. You know? So I realized in that moment of enlightenment that it's not about what I can't do. It's about what I don't want to do. So from that point on, when people come up to me and say, do you want to get high? I say, no, I don't want to. I took control with those very words of saying, I'm the master of my destiny. I don't want to get high. There's no value in getting high for me. It leads to destructive ends. So I choose not to get high today. Not that I can't. I choose not to get high.
And what were some of those reasons that was compelling you to say, I gotta commit? What were the reasons?
Value. It was value-based decision. You know, I say to clients now, I often say to clients and people who approach me about how are they going to stay sober, and I'll ask the question, do you think you can stay sober for the rest of your life? And often people respond is, I'm taking it a day at a time. I can't predict the future. And I respect that. But the fact of the matter is there are certain things that we are certain about. If I were to ask you, would you ever, slap your mother in the face? I'm certain you would say no. And even if I said, would that happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now? No, because that's a value that you possess. But yet, when it comes to our addiction, you ask a person, are you going to get high again? They say, well, I don't know. Maybe. I'm taking it one day at a time. And I submit to you that you have to place your recovery in the same category as the rest of your values and be able to say, this is of such value to me that I'm never going to do it again.
It's very interesting. But when I work with the residents, they say, they get very upset if their request to visit the children is being denied because of poor performance. And they get very upset because I value my kids, I want my kids back. But then from what you're saying, well, why don't you put the same value on your recovery?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about value. We don't do the things that are important to us. So if it's important, if your sobriety and recovery is important, then put it in a place of importance and recognize the importance. But to do that, you have to recognize that it's a value thing.
Right.
You know, just as you may value being nice to people, just as you may value your home, your car, or any other thing that you have in life, your relationship with your family, your recovery has to be a value-based decision. I value being sober, and I like the person I am.
Wow, interesting. So, like, you know, some people value their jeans.
That's right.
Or their pair of shoes, Michael Jordan shoes.
Exactly.
So if I hear you right, you're saying that value for sobriety is the number one. But behind that is or underneath everything else.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay, this might be a difficult one, but I'll try to phrase it as best as I can. Many of our brothers and sisters, they seem to have like a sense of entitlement, you know. Where's my walk around money, or just because they're in treatment, they want everything given to them. You know, and you have been at the lowest point, and now you're a vice president, and you rose up. What do you think of why that sense of entitlement is not good, and how does that impact one's recovery?
That's a very good question, and it's something that I've noticed a lot over the last 36 years, that once people are overly entitled, they can't move forward. And recovery is about moving forward and going beyond yourself. Because this thing that we're involved in, the recovery movement, this values system of supporting recovery and believing in recovery, is bigger than any one of us. And so we can't be just thinking about ourselves and what we're entitled to. Because you're only entitled to what you've earned. And recovery is a process of earning back your dignity. How can you have dignity if you haven't earned it? So when you're in recovery, you earn back your dignity, you earn back your self-respect, and you don't have to say people would come up to me and say things like, I'm a good man. Whenever somebody says that to me, I kind of take a little offense at that, because if you're truly a good man, you don't have to tell me that. I would see that. I would know that automatically. I would know it from your works. I would know it from the way that you perform in the community. I would know it from the way you treat other people. And I would be able to arrive at that assessment of myself and say, AJ is a good man because of the things he do and the way he perform. So when people have a sense of entitlement, they haven't shown that they earned it. To earn something is to show I'm respectable, I pay my taxes, I support my community, I help my neighbors out, I treat my friends all right, I'm a member of the community, I'm making a contribution. So then I can say, okay, I'm looking to be respected because I respect other people. Treatment is about what you put in is what you get out. So therefore, if you're not involved in the community, when we talk about community as method, if you're not involved in the community, then the community doesn't work. You have to do your fair share, not through entitlement, and then you'll get back everything you deserve.
Wow. And the other day, what I think prompted this whole video experience was we were talking about recovery in general, and then one of the things you said was it's important for every resident, every client, when they come into the program, is to make a contribution. You know, I see some people, they just come and they have breakfast, they attend the groups, and they sit in the family room and watch TV all day, you know. Why is contribution important?
Contribution is important because from the moment that you begin contributing, you stop thinking about your own problems so much.
Wow.
You're not absorbed in this pity party thing and entitlement thing and all of the things that we're talking about here. It happens when you isolate and say, "Whoa, oh, woe is me. Look at the situation I'm in," you know, and dwelling on the past. The past is gone. And the thing that I like to tell people in recovery is I equate the past kind of like a person driving an automobile. Anytime you drive an automobile, you notice that the front windshield is always bigger than the back windshield. And I believe that's because what's in front of you is bigger than what's behind you.
Wow.
And once you understand that concept, you start saying, well, I have to concentrate on building a future for myself, because so many things can happen in my life, and I need people in my life in order for that to happen. I have in my life right now some of the friends that I met in treatment. You know, guy I met in treatment became the godfather to my children, right? Guy I met in treatment was my best man at my wedding. The guy I met in treatment right now, we have barbecues together and we socialize, you know, and has been supporting my recovery for 36 years. Those relationships that are formed in treatment in the community become the lifeblood of your continued sobriety.
I have just two more questions. The other day when I was in Ellenville, I heard two things. One was in the morning meeting, one of the sisters said that the truth shall set you free. And this is a tough question, but I think the truth, and if people hear this truth from you, I hope they listen. So this is how it goes. In Ellenville, just at the Recovery Festival, I was talking to a resident. I don't want to mention his name. He's one of the role models of Ellenville. And I asked him, I said, because I know he always speaks in the morning meeting, you know, he gives teachings. And I said to him, I said, why do you think that some of our brothers are stuck in their recovery? And he gave me this profound answer, and I want to ask your opinion on it. He said, AJ, many of our brothers and sisters are here to beat a bid. You know, they don't want to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And act as if is good, because if you act as if, then you become that person. But he said the sad truth is that many of our brothers come here for 6-8 months, pretend and act as if they're still in jail. What's your thought about that truth?
Sadly, it's pretty true that people have learned conditions of the environments that they were in. Many of our people, as a result of their addiction and their drug use, they get incarcerated in the prison, industrial prison complex, and they begin to act out behaviors like, well, that's the entirety of my life. The behaviors shaped in prison. Or, conversely, I was in a gang, and the behaviors shaped in that gang is all I know, and that's how I'm going to live my life. But the beauty of treatment is an intervention. It's an intervention designed to intervene in the path that you're on and help you get on the right path, get off the wrong path and get on the right path. And so people should be relearning valuable skills of engagement, socialization, developing a social consciousness, forgetting about cop and blow and cop lock and block and all of those things. The people in our facilities, whether you're in Rhinebeck, at Fox Run, Meadow Run, Cape Road, Ellenville, whether you're in the Van Wyck, whether you're in High Bridge, whether you're in Richmond Hill, whether you're at the one of our veteran program, the message that I give to you is that, you know, your life is not determined by your past. Your life is determined about the choices you make today to proceed into your future. And the choices you should be making today should be positive choices. I want you to be encouraged in your recovery. I want you to feel that you now have a chance to make amends for the wrongs that you've done in your life and have a chance to succeed in life. Perhaps you was wrong at one point in time. Perhaps you went to jail on a bus that wasn't intended for you. Perhaps you had trauma in your life that caused your addiction. Whatever the circumstance that led to you being here, now is an opportunity for you to change all that around. Be a part of a community. Be a part of the people who are moving forward, not the people moving back. The people who want to bring drugs into the facility, don't be a part of that. The people who want to be about negative things, don't be a part of that. Be a part about the people who are saying, I want to go to school, get my education. I want to learn a skill. I want to become a recovery coach. I want to re-engage with my family in a positive way. I want to support my children. I want to do things that will enable me to be a positive role model in my community. Those are the things that you should focus on. And start developing a plan to accomplish that. Because if you develop that plan, you will succeed. I guarantee you. And Samaritan Daytop Village will give you all the help you need if you want to do the right thing. But if you want to do the wrong thing, then you have only yourself to blame for that.
Wow. Wow, that was really powerful. Because I hope to be able to show this tape in all of those facilities you mentioned. You know, Roy, you have 2 degrees. You have a master's in social work. You cleaned 36 years. You've been to prison. Now you're a vice president. Just to close this, just tell us what drives you every day and a personal message.
What drives me every day is the spirit and hope of recovery that was so freely given to me, to pay it forward so that other people. I learned just a short while ago that we will be awarded a recovery center from the state of New York. And that made me feel so good because it will be an opportunity for Samaritan Daytop Village to have a place in the community for people, even after they go through treatment, to come, have themselves supported in their recovery, to be able to provide resources to people in recovery. What keeps me going every day is my lovely family, my wife, my children, my friends, but most important, my God. Most important of all is the fact that I don't have to wake up every day shaking and craving a drug, that I don't have to wake up with the jitters and kicking and going through the DDTs or anything like that. Today, I'm the master of my own destiny, you know. I'm not a victim to addiction. I'm not subject to being incarcerated or being in a place where somebody else determines whether I have jelly or butter on my bread in the morning. Somebody else determines what time I wake up. Somebody else determines what time I go to bed at night. I'm the master of my own destiny, and that's all that one can ask in life, and I'm proud of that, and I'm grateful to be in recovery.
And Roy, sincerely, we all are blessed to have you in our lives. Thank you so much.